fair guidance. It's making me absolutely crazy.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! I ain't scared of you. Or who we thought they were. And we let them all talk. You can't have my cornbread, that's for damn sure. And if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree won't begin up in here on your ass right now.
Greetings and salutations. You know who it is. It's me, the King David B, and welcome to the David Brewer Show. You understand what I've been thinking sometimes, maybe I should say that the other way. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the David Brewer Show, and it's me, the King David B himself. Now, you tell me which one you like better. Maybe you leave that in the comment section, okay? Let's talk about comments for a second. Let's talk about comments. This is one thing I want to talk about today. Trolls, internet trolls. People. This is the new term. A troll was a little fictional creature. Back in the day, when I was growing up, a troll was a little short fictional creature that looked like his face was mushed in. He had stringy hair, somewhat scary, somewhat comical, had magical powers. That was a troll. Now a troll is somebody who, in a sense, stalks people on the on the internet, on social media, and writes comments that trying to sparks issues. They go on different pages, make comments to try to make people upset, to try to lure you into an argument. Half the time, the troll's argument has no foundation. There's no really, they really don't have anything. They just want to say something negative. That's most of the time what the troll is. And so a troll is like something that is a nagging thing. But that's one of the slang terms that we have nowadays. That's one thing we're going to talk about today is slang. As well, so we're just going to start out talking about trolls because I think trolls, the whole trolling thing is an interesting phenomenon. I think people always had, these things inside. People, a lot of you say everybody has an opinion, right? Most people's opinions are not their own. I will say that. So everybody has an opinion. I'm going to put the air quotes on that one. Everybody has what you would call an opinion, a so-called opinion. But most people's opinions are based on other people's opinions. So, or they derive from other people's opinions. They take the opinion of someone else and they use that opinion as to say, yeah, I feel that way too. And then they try to explain the person who created the opinion, who actually has a foundation to it. They read something, they learned something, they heard something, they seen something, and they made an opinion versus the one who is just co-signing the opinion, who didn't necessarily see it, who didn't necessarily live it, who didn't necessarily experience it or get gain the knowledge by reading it, but they created an opinion based off of whatever, off of what somebody else did. That's a little different from the internet where people see a video, they might see 20 seconds of one or a minute and 20 seconds or 12 minutes and 20 seconds. They see something on the internet and they don't agree. So they comment and to look for something that's, they comment expecting a negative response. They're trying to make people mad. And I think that this is something that people have been doing for years. The difference is there was the anonymity wasn't necessarily there. Before you couldn't, write that. People wrote anonymous letters. You could write an anonymous letter, but you know how much time it used to take to write a letter? You had to actually go through some stuff back in the day to actually write a letter, to get a stamp, to get a envelope, to send it off. That costs money. Now you don't actually have to go through all of that. You can just be an a-hole from from your bathroom toilet. That's the funny part about that. Thank you for joining me on the David Brewer Show. All those that just might have joined in just now, thank you for joining me. Stay tuned. We'll bring you more. We're just talking about internet trolling and how people, most people are punks anyway. You understand? Most people will not say things to your face. So that's why I don't agree with the whole internet cyberbullying. I think it's ridiculous. I think bullying from a computer, that's not real. You can't. People kill themselves. Like, no, this is real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It is not. It's not. It's all in your brain. In a sense, that those who might have taken their own lives based off of what was written on an internet, what was written on a screen, I would have to say that they were probably going to destroy themselves in some sort of way in their life anyway. I don't know if they're going to kill themselves in another way, but I would think that he's like, well, this person's not weak. You have to be kind of weak to kill yourself because somebody's writing on the internet. I would think that's a little bit, come on. It's a little, and I'm not trying to throw any shade on the people or, trying to, yeah, am I using the right word, shade? I'm not trying to disrespect the people whose family members have taken their own lives because of that. I'm not trying to disrespect, but it is kind of odd. It's always been an odd thing to me that somebody can read something on a screen and say, you're not cute, or you're fat, or you're ugly, or you're black, you're a nigger. I just, if you read it 3,000 times, it's like you don't have to read it, so I don't have to read it. So why would I have to, why would it, it would affect me in a sense, to a point, but I don't have to keep reading it, is what I'm saying. Okay, I know that's how you feel. I know there's racist people out there. I know there's people that don't like men. People don't like black people. There's people that don't like David Brewer because I'm David Brewer. There's people that, have made some lies up about me. There's people. So what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, if you're reading that stuff every day well, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to read all the bull crap. Some of the stuff you can laugh off. Some of the stuff, So I would say that somebody that did that had to have some type of things going on in their brain in the first place for them to think that they had to take it that far as to kill themselves. You can't come back from that thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and people, they're doing it with the slang terms. I don't know. I don't know slang anymore. I don't know the in slang terms. Black people created slang. No, we did. I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. The slaves, the American slaves, created slang. We created a number of slang. We created a lot of things. I think I said this yesterday, but black people created a number of things that are just, we've created popular culture, period. I don't think popular culture existed before black people in this country. I just don't think there was a popular culture. Black people created popular culture, and we don't control any of it. We don't get the respect of what we have done for this country. Even I'm saying across the board, or the internet, TV, whatever. If you look at things, it's always been controlled by the ideas and the methods, the words. It's all you can attribute. When I say all, you can attribute most of it to black Americans. He says, okay, something you contribute to. I'm not going to limit to blacks because I think that I think that Mexicans in this country help contribute to. I think Black Mexicans and Indians are all pretty much linked in this country, and I think that we don't work together as we should because there's a lot of disinformation sent throughout the world that makes us not want to work together and band together, and I think it's interesting. But like I said, slang, it comes from colored folks, and because I don't want to leave out my Hispanic and my Mexican brothers and sisters, because to me they spend things just as much as black folks spend. That we got this. That people copy us. They do. They copy us. They copy our culture because we're so cool. We are blacks and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, Asian folks. We're so cool. You know what I'm saying? We have a certain. I don't even like to use the word swag. That's. But there's a certain thing about us that we got, but that's what it's called nowadays, swag. That's the slang nowadays, and that's what But it is. That's what it is. It's swag. I think some time ago, maybe 20 years ago, it was sexy. Now it's swag, and they still use sexy, but it's like they say it in a different way, in a different style of sentence. But the slang terms, which I'm trying to think of some right now. That right off my head, like the main ones that people lit. That's the one people use, lit and turnt and facts, 100. What else? Somebody can say the simplest thing, and people are like facts. Simple thing, woke. People can say some. I was reading something. I was watching a YouTube, and I was watching a YouTube video, and it was about some guy was at they were in a conference, and they were confronting some people at a conference. This guy stood up at the end of it and made a statement. And he was like, he was talking about it was church. It was a church conference, but he stood up and said something like about that he mentioned the term institutionalized hypocrisy. And the comments section was like, "Did you hear what he said? Yeah, I heard that, bro. Institutionalized hypocrisy. You said it right there." And I'm listening to like institutionalized hypocrisy, and because he made that statement, it's like, "Yeah, you woke, man. You woke." And it's just so interesting to me that people can make these little blanket statements. He said he said something like the churches. A lot of churches have I guess it was saying institutionalized hypocrisy, and I was like, that's not like a woke statement. So I commented to that, and I said institutionalized hypocrisy. If black people, because I believe they were talking about the black church. Let me slow my speaking down. I believe they were talking about the black church. Excuse me, but the idea of institutionalized hypocrisy, well, anything that's institutionalized in this country would be institutionalized by the ones that are in power. Those in power those in power are the only ones that can institutionalize anything, right? So I put the statement out there, the comment out there, that if there is an institutionalized hypocrisy, then we learned it as slaves from the slave master who we have institutionalized racism from. All this stuff is, so they were talking about secrets that are kept within the church and things like that. And I said, well, the same secrets that were kept then are kept now. The same secrets that we kept the same secrets that we keep now, we kept then. It hasn't changed much because that's the way we learned how to do it. And I think certain things are not supposed to be brought to the masses. If you read the Word of God, it tells you not to bring certain things to the forefront of everybody. You are supposed to keep it within the family. Jesus instructs that, I believe, if I'm not correct. Jesus instructs you to keep it within the family. I'm not sure if it's Jesus or if it was Paul that wrote it, but I know that it's written in there that we are supposed to, in a sense, police ourselves, talk to ourselves, take care of each other. You understand what I'm saying? We're not supposed to go outside of the church and broadcast what goes on inside of the body of Christ. Now, those who are doing that, those who are taking it outside of the body of Christ, they are not living within the doctrine of Jesus Christ. They're not working. They're not walking within the doctrine of Christ. And anything that's not the doctrine, anything that's outside of the doctrine of Christ is not Christ. Period. You see how quickly I can jump on the church from talking about slang. But I just thought it was interesting because that's what we get. We're so desire. We just desires, hearing that one syllable, that one phrase. We do. That's something we do to the fullest nowadays, man. We can't wait to hear that one good term and post it on Instagram or post it on Facebook. We want a good that one good liner, that one liner, because people's attention span can only keep it for one line. People's attention spans are very limited. Now, I don't believe that people that's it for people. I'm saying that's for the vast majority. Most people, attention span don't go past the headline. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why people are trying to make these one-liners and these little nuggets. They call them little nuggets of info, because most people, I'm going to say most people's minds don't go past the headlines. They don't read past it. They can't hear past it. They can't understand through it. None of that. You say, so what's the purpose of shows like this? Well, the purpose of shows like this are to inform. Look, these podcast news outlets, any type of podcast, any type of broadcast, it's there for one. I believe it's one of three reasons, maybe one of four, but I know one of three for sure. It's entertain. You're there to entertain. You're there to inform, or you're there to. I think the word would be educate. Maybe that's entertain, educate, inform. Those are the reasons that there's a broadcast. Look, that's the reason why you have news. News informs you to a certain extent, but they're also there to entertain you. And what else does the news do? At times, the news does educate you because they have what? Segments where they have these educational nuggets where they talk. So that the news is doing that, all three. That's the whole purpose of it. They're there. That's the purpose of the broadcast. Essentially, that's where we get a lot of our, what would be the right word? That's where we get a lot of our knowledge from these days. A lot of kids are getting their knowledge from broadcasts, YouTube, sound bites, videos. People don't want to read anymore. I went to the Washington Post website. They're trying to charge you $1. I think for a 4-week trial or something like that. Charge you $1, and Google News is free. You understand? Yahoo is free. MSN is free. Why would I pay for news that it's there? Now, the thing about the Washington Post is it's supposed to be better news. They're more informed. They're well. The New York Times and all these newspapers who are now online are trying to charge people to read their website. And I was like, you can go anywhere and find news. The news that's on bloggers are becoming the journalists of our day. You understand? which is a good thing and a bad thing, because now you have just regular, in a sense, you have regular people. I'm a blogger. I would say I'm a amateur. I'm a novice blogger. Okay, so the good part about that is that we are, in a sense, in normal society. We come from the normal part of society. We're not in a newsroom. We're not being our strings aren't being pulled by a specific political party. They're not being pulled by a news outlet. They're not being, so the strings aren't being pulled by someone with an agenda. Okay, that's what you can say about the bloggers. But the opposite side of that is a lot of bloggers have their what's the right? Let me think of the right term I'm looking for there. Bloggers have their allegiance. So there's a lot of bloggers, and they have their, some of them, a lot of them have allegiance to specific people and specific things. And because of their allegiance, they are tied into something that's more political. The interesting part about that is, like I said, you can get the news from these ones, but the problem with that is some of the news that a blogger gives isn't real, because they don't actually do, as you would say, they don't do investigative work. We as bloggers, some do, but very few actually do investigate. And I'm talking about as far as the news is concerned, world news and things like that. Very few bloggers do investigative reporting. They don't have informants, or what would be what's the term that journalists have for their sources? They don't have sources, right? They don't have sources as to let me call this person or that person that's that works in this area or that area, so I can get information, or I can vet information before I put it out. Bloggers get their news from other bloggers, or they get their news from TMZ, or they get their news from news. A lot of bloggers get their news from news stations. Now you have some who have ties into the media world, and they are able to get the story, and that's why I said you get the story. Bloggers get stories from other bloggers, so you're able to receive the story from somebody who is tied into the media, tied into that celebrity, tied into the political arena. So that's where you get information from. And that's why I say, me as a blogger, I never claim to be somebody. One, I don't like talking about. I'm not going to gossip. That's one thing I will not do, because I'm a child of God. I don't believe that's as a child of God. I believe that that's not for me to do, is to gossip or to spread something if I don't know that it's the truth. I refuse to do that. I don't want to spread something about somebody. And as I said, gossip is talking about something or somebody specific. I'm not going to spread something about somebody that I don't know is true for sure. If I am talking about something and I'm uncertain of it, I will say, in my opinion, or I believe, or to the best of my knowledge, this is what it is. But I definitely won't just come out right out like a lot of bloggers do and say, I got the tea. Another slang. I got the tea. and he who did, But that's what we do. We want to talk about something as if we know for sure it happened, but we don't really know for sure it happened. That's what we do. Look, there's a lot of people preaching in churches that don't really know the Bible. They learn from what they've seen done. They learn from who taught them, and they are adopting. Definitely nowadays, they are adopting. Probably in time past, but definitely nowadays, they have adopted a style that is trying to just fill up a church. And that's one thing that it's the culture. It's the culture that we live in nowadays that everybody wants to be. Essentially, everybody wants to be that guy or that girl. Because, we're selfish. You say, well, isn't that what you're doing? Like, what makes you, as far as, what gives you the right to be this or to do that, or, you want to be that guy or that girl? Well, yeah, but I know that this is my space. I know that my space is, talking about these things. My space is in opinions. My space is in that knowledge. This is my space. I've tried to run from the space. I've tried to run from the opinion page, the opinion polls. I've tried to run from doing this. I'll be honest and say I tried to run from doing this, which is coming out and talking to the public and speaking to people and informing people and giving my opinions on things. I try to run from doing it. Like I'm not, but every time I run, it's brought back to me. It's brought back into my face. It's smacked me in the face. So I don't want to run from it. I want to embrace it. I want to nurture it. And I want to, push it. That's where I struggle, is in the pushing of it, because I'm not a pushy guy, so I'm a laid back, nonchalant type of guy. But when I talk about things that I'm passionate about, I'll be essentially in your face because I know what I'm saying is, or at least I believe what I'm saying is correct. Whether it's an opinion or not, I believe my opinion is correct. Which is why I voice it. So I want to interview people. I definitely want to, graduate to the point where I can interview celebrities. I'd like to interview celebrities, but I don't want to just interview celebrities. I want to interview regular people, like normal people who aren't what you so-called celebrity. I want to interview people, period, because I think that you'll learn more the more people you talk to. You'll learn about people the more people you talk to. Definitely given any situation. I'm not talking about just asking for opinion like what's your favorite color or what's your favorite team type of questions. I'm talking about actual in-depth questions such as a political question. What do you think about, the argument about Donald Trump is not really an argument. It's, I guess, that whole political thing about the Democrats and Republicans, I get tired of. I'm getting, sick and tired of the Democrats and the Republicans. Because whatever the Democrats do, it's the Democrats. And it's the Republicans. It's really getting sickening to hear that back and forth all the time when it comes to politics. It's not about the people, period. You never hear about the people. It's all the people or American as a society is always an afterthought to the argument between the Democrats and the Republicans. That's what it is. So I'm a true independent. I am a true independent, what they would call. I don't need to take a side. My side is on what is correct. I don't, say trust. I don't have much faith in the Democrats, and I don't have much faith in a Republican because for many years they've been doing things all wrong. And, either side. You can say either side has done things incorrectly. You go back and say, oh, well, remember back in the day, the Democrats were Republicans, and so Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And you think about it like that, and it's like, okay, and what does that mean? What does that mean? Just because these guys were Republicans, because they were, in a sense, the ideas or ideals or whatever, how you want to put it, were swapped with the names. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, right now, the Republicans, you can tell that they have their agenda is not for people of color. Their agenda is not for people who are less fortunate, who are low income. Their agenda does not, their agenda is to keep the rich man rich. In fact, make him richer, and to keep the poor man poor. And they don't care about that. That's what I see the agenda of the Republican is. To the Democrats are not much different. They're about the same. They don't broadcast that that's what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? The Republicans, in a sense, you can see that that's what they're doing. The Democrats don't broadcast that their agenda is the rich man stay rich and the poor stay poor. They don't broadcast that. However, they actually feel the same way. The only difference between the Democrats and the Republicans really is a small, minute difference that they don't agree on, which keeps them separate. In that sense of talking about, policy and things like that. You can have 1,000 letters, or 1,000 words, or 2,000 words, and it'll be 10 words that they don't agree on. It's stuff like that, and the idea that the Democrats, the liberals that are this, and it's the conservatives that are that. All of these things essentially are smoke and mirrors to the agenda of what they all want, which in a sense is the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. That's essentially what everybody can agree on. I want to make sure I keep my money. Now, we want to help the middle class, but nobody's saying anything about the low class. Do you hear that? Nobody's saying anything about low class. It's like we want to help the middle class man, become, and middle class can be, you can make $90,000 a year and you're considered middle class. So, the middle class is what they're like, okay, we got to, try to get this middle class. Everybody's trying to get the middle class because most people are either in the middle class somewhere. Whether you're at the lower end of the middle class or the higher end of the middle class, most people are in the middle class or lower class. So most people are not considered, as far as financials are concerned, are not in the high class crowd, where they can be considered wealthy. That's why in a sense, the wealthy is the 1%. Okay? That's the 1% of people. So what does that tell you? You said, okay, well, there's 99% of people are working for the 1%. 99% is do what the 1%, does. So what does that mean? That we're followers. Yeah, that means that we're followers in a sense that we're content with being where we are. We don't want to fight. We don't want to put up that. So what do? The Democrats and the Republicans, both of these sides, they organize their own protests. And they put leaders in place as these protesting things. I don't care what movement it is. It's organized and orchestrated by political entities that really are only trying to push their points of views and their values and their agenda. And which is, and I said, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, the agenda really is to keep the 1%, the 1%. Okay, well, I don't care if it's 1 or 2%. That's the agenda of both sides, is to keep the 1% there. It's not to keep that. It's not to include everybody. That's bull crap if you think that's true. It is. The idea is to keep the 1% the 1%. So there we go with politics. Because you can talk about that for a long time. Donald Trump is in. I don't have a lot to say, against Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States. We've had bad presidents before. We've had presidents who weren't as good as others, in a sense, who didn't look to be as good as others. We've had those. So I don't have anything to say about Donald Trump that I wouldn't have said about, the Clintons. I'm not saying the Clintons were necessarily the Clinton, I'm not saying President Clinton was a bad president to the extent where he says a lot of dumb things. Donald Trump just does a lot of dumb things, or he says a lot of stupid stuff. That's all it is. He talks, it's no different than like me just talking crap on my show. He just has a bigger platform to talk crap. That's all that is. We listen to the crap that people who are in power or who are wealthy or who are so-called celebrities, we listen to these people as if they can't say anything wrong, as if they are different than us, as if they are, and I'm saying us, as if they're different from anybody else. The 1% that controls, you said the 1% of the wealth that's wealthy, they're still human. They still put their pants on one leg at a time. They still sit on. They gotta go to a toilet to use the bathroom. Some of them will pee outside in the yard. Some of them, pee in the shower when they're taking a shower. They're still humans. They still do all the same stuff. They just have more money. There's nothing that they are that the others are not. So the idea that I have to listen to this person because let's think of a name, because it's Bill Gates. I got to listen to Bill Gates because it's Bill Gates talking. No. I don't have to listen to you because you're Bill Gates. I don't have to listen to you because you Donald Trump. I don't have to listen to you because I don't have to agree with you because your name is Jay-Z or Beyonce. Oh, did you hear what Beyonce said? Oh, you got the Beehive. And I don't have to listen to these people just because the Beehive, there's 20 million people in the Beehive. I don't care how many people she got following her on Instagram or whatever it is, and they'll come and attack you if you say something wrong. I don't have to listen to Beyonce. Everything that comes out of Beyonce's mouth is not solid gold. I don't agree with that. You'll never get me to agree that just because you have amassed a fortune, that means that you, in a sense, know more than anybody else. Necessarily, you just know what you know. Period. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, who are they? Actors and actresses? Right. Are they intelligent? Yes. I'll give them the fact that they are intelligent. Okay. Are there other intelligent people who don't have their money? Yes. So they just have a bigger platform to speak, right? And they have more opportunity to get in the ears of people, right? So that has nothing to do with the fact that they have money, So I don't look at Will and Jada as, oh my gosh, it's Will and Jada. Like, I thought they were angels. When you see them on TV, that's kind of that's kind of how people respond, as if these people are above reproach, or as if these people are, beyond the world that we live in. And it's like, no, they're just normal. I'm going to say they're normal people. They're normal. It's like, oh no, they're not normal because they actors and actresses and they in the public eye, and you can't be normal to do that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that you can't be normal. I think all these people are normal people who became popular. They did what they loved to do. They did what they were good at, and they became popular. Period. It's no different than the popular person in school. I don't care if you're in elementary school, junior, middle school, junior high school. It's no different than the popular person on campus. That's it. You're popular. People know you, whether you are local or national. People know you. You're still, like I said, but you're still normal. I would say normal, which means that there's nothing super about you other than the fact that you have money or that you're popular. That's just what it is. Anything beyond that is foolishness to think like. To me personally, you say, "Do you want to interview these people?" I sure do. I would still interview them because they're who I want to interview. Who people call the influenced. I want to interview the influencers of society. Of course I do. Because I want to tap into what people think they see. 9 times out of 10, the influencers don't want to talk to people like me because I'll actually call them on their bullcrap that they're spewing half the time. So they don't want to talk to guys like me. They want to keep it on the spectrum to where they can control the atmosphere. So you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to a guy that you can control what he's going to say. That's why they plan their interviews. They tell me what they're. You got to run your questions by my agent. Run your questions by my manager, and any interview that I conduct will not be like that. So in a sense that you say, well, David, y'all know if you will be able to interview celebrities then if you're not willing to follow these guidelines. Well, I guess I won't be interviewing celebrities. I guess I'll just take the interviews that they already have and tweak them myself. Talk about the interviews they've already had. But yeah, I don't believe that, I have to run my questions through somebody. I want to ask you a question, whatever I ask you. I want to have an organic interview, not, okay, do you agree with that? Here's one of my questions. I have 10 questions. I'll only answer 7 of those. If you want me to answer 10, I'll answer those 7, but you have to change the other 3. You a lie. You crazy if you think I'm going to do that. So I want to find those people who are actually real out there. You understand what I'm saying? We always talk about woke and facts and 100. The fact of the matter is, half the people who screaming woke, facts and 100 ain't woke, have no facts, and are a little bit like 50. So let's be honest. When I say 50, I mean 50 like half. They half of 100. So I don't pretend to. I don't pretend to think that, I'm different. Only thing that makes me different is that I'm willing to approach people differently. That's kind of how that works. And I'm willing to approach the elite of society the same way I approach the so-called non-elite of society, which is whichever way I feel like. I respect you. Whether you are the so-called elite or you're so-called non-elite, doesn't make a difference to me. But I'm not going to change my format for you. And I think that's what we kind of look at celebrities as if they are something different than quote-unquote normal people. But that's all I have to say. The Raptors beat before I go, the Raptors beat the doggone Golden State Warriors last night, 123-109, to make the series 2-1. Raptors way. Got a lot more series to go. I think it's going to be an interesting series. I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I thank you for joining me. You can go on Facebook, Jockwave. You can go on Instagram, Jockwave. You can go on Twitter, Jockwave. You can go on YouTube, Jockwave, because Jockwave is a production company. Thank you for joining me on the David Brewer Show. I am King David B. And I hope to see you again. And I hope you come back to hear my lovely, melodious voice. You dig what I'm saying? All right, I'm out. Jackwave.